A couple of days ago, I took this car out for a test drive. After a short trip, I noticed that after braking, the car was pulling to one side. A short distance later, there was a burn smell in the air, and to top it off, there was smoke coming from this wheel. I immediately pulled the car over to the side of the road. I went around and felt all the wheels. They all had a little heat to them, but this one here was too hot to touch. If you experience anything I just mentioned, it's a good chance you have a stuck caliper. Now this caliper was changed just a couple of days ago. So there's a brand new caliper in there, brand new brake pads, not only on that side, but on the other side as well. Today I'm going to show you how I go about diagnosing this problem. I'm going to show you the 3 areas that I know of that could be the cause of this problem. So let's get started. This wheel is pretty stiff, but with the tire on, I was able to turn it. It kind of loosened up since I parked it. It's one of 3 things that could cause this caliper to bind up. Number 1, the new caliper could be bad, in which case I may have a problem because I bought this and I sat on it for about a month before I put it on. This vehicle was parked for a month. I just wasn't feeling good, and with the weather, so I don't know if it's still under the warranty. 2, it could be this hose, this brake line hose. This hose, if I had to guess, is the original on the car. I never changed it, and I don't believe the people who had it before me had any reason to change it. What happens, it deteriorates on the inside, and when you step on the brake fluid gets pumped through, goes to the piston, pushes the piston in, but it's blocked, kind of like a valve. And what happens when it deteriorates, the flow could go through, but it can't go back. So it keeps the pressure on the piston, and it doesn't allow the piston to go back, and it keeps the pressure on the pads. It didn't drive far, but the new pads I put on here probably have to be replaced again. 3rd area that could be a problem is the master cylinder. Now, I haven't had to change one of these, but I know they can go bad. There's a piston in there, and if the piston's stuck one way, again, the fluid will flow one way, but it won't be able to come back. So I'm going to start at the bottom. I got to see if I can get my better half out here, because I have the car up on jack stands. There's 3 stack stands and the jack itself. I have the wheels chucked in the back, but I'm on a little bit of a hill here, and I really don't want to play around putting this in neutral or anything. This car should start rolling. I'm going to have a start up the car, step on the brake. I'm going to have a pump it a few times. Then I'm going to open up the bleed valve. If brake fluid squirts out of here, that means there was pressure in this caliper and it couldn't go up this hose. So that narrows it down to the hose or the piston. If it just dribbles out, then that means I have a problem with the caliper itself. So let me get my better half out here and get this show on the road. After cooling off for a couple of days, I was able to turn this wheel. It was tough, but I was able to turn it. I had my wife start the car and pump the brake a few times. After she pumped the brake a few times, I used a crowbar. I used the crowbar against these lug nuts. I couldn't move it at all. So now I'm going to open this up, and you might want to have some rags laying around when you do this. I have this bucket down here. As either it's going to squirt out or it's going to dribble. Here we go. Ready? Here we go. Nothing. Hey, Phil, start it up again and step on the brake. Step on the brake. Okay, hold it. Well. Okay, step on it, Phil. Step on the brake. Let it go. Step on it. Let it go. Okay, keep your foot off the brake. Step on it a few times, Phil. Pump it up. Okay, based on the way this dribbled out, I'm going under the assumption my new caliper is bad. I'm gonna pull this off right now and see whether I could push that piston back in, and if that's the issue, I'm gonna remove the brake line. I'm gonna pull out this banjo nut. I'm gonna put the old caliper back on just to keep it from dripping down. I know you can squeeze the brake line, but I'd rather not go that route. I'd rather just go with the caliper, the old caliper being in here to block the flow of fluid coming down. All right, first things first here, we have to remove this bolt that's on top. And if I could get the camera down here, there's one down here. I don't know if the camera's focusing in on that. And on the Saturn, this bolt over here requires a 13mm wrench, and this banjo nut requires an 11mm wrench right here. So let's get started. Okay, the two bolts are out, top and bottom. I'm leaving this on for the time being. You can see this isn't budging. This is on pretty solid. So I get a pry bar, a big screwdriver, and just pull it. I'm doing this with one hand, so I'm gonna have to put the camera down because you don't want this to fall and damage that line. Okay, I'm pretty close to it coming off now, so I'm gonna put the camera down and completely remove this. I should have had my gloves on. These pads are about 50% of what they were. I'm going to get a C-clamp and the brake pad, push it down and see if these go in. And when you compress these pistons in, you want to open up the reserve on the brake fluid. I have this old caliper on, like I mentioned, just to keep the fluid from flowing out. I was going to bring this caliper back because I thought it was like a 30-day warranty on it. But when I called them up, they said there's a lifetime warranty on the caliper and on the pads. Now, here's the catch. It's a lifetime warranty on this, but once you bring it in and they replace it, that's it. You don't get another warranty. So I'm still not sure if it's the caliper or if it's the line. So I ordered a new line. It's not going to hurt to put a new one in. If this is the original, this car's a 2006, got a few years on it. I ordered a new line. I'm going to put the original new caliper back on with the pads to see if they work correctly. If they don't work correctly at that point, then I'm going to come topside and go to the master cylinder to see if this is stuck. I really don't want to be messing around in here. It's kind of tight doing everything, so I'm just hoping it's that brake line that's deteriorated. It's not the brake line, it's not the master cylinder, then I know it's that caliper. I'll be bringing it in. This is doing the work twice, but at this point I'm just not sure which way to go with it. I ordered the brake line. It should be here in a day or two. So this project's going to be on hold for now. I'll get to the other 10 projects that are started and waiting for me to get back to them. Once that brake line comes in, I'll install it, I'll take it for a test drive, and I'll get back and let you know whether that was the issue or not. Well, that's it for today. Good news, I just got back from a test drive, checked the brakes all the way around, and I didn't have that heat buildup. So it was the brake line that was locking up that new caliper. That's it. Any questions or comments, post them down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, it does help. If you haven't done so already, subscribe and hit that bell icon not to miss my new videos as I upload them. If you'd like to see that brake line installed, I have a video on that. Just hit the little button up above. Until next time, stay safe.